Do men think often about the Roman Empire?
Of course we do. Come on, you know we do.
So there's this thing on TikTok where women ask their husbands or boyfriends, how often do you think of the Roman Empire? And they're always surprised to hear that men think of the Roman Empire, once a week, twice a week. It's not that strange.
It's one of those iconic moments in our history that stick in our minds and tell us how to interpret the world.
I was just going to say that.
It's like, stories from the Bible or Jesus Christ, or it's one of those things that are so important to the world that we go to those places to interpret the world.
If I had to think about iconic moments in history that define the world, I would have to say the Roman Empire. I would have to say World War II, the Holocaust, and the Nazis. I would have to say the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Viking. I would have to say some of the great thinkers like Newton, Da Vinci, Martin Luther, Einstein, and all these people and all those events. I think about them all the time. And I think most people do.
One of these women went on and on about how maybe men need, a sense of community. That's just way off. There was nothing of community about the Roman Empire. It was a dog-eat-dog, vicious, backstabbing, bloody world. It was a unforgiving, completely brutal place.
Women think about it too. You're a woman, right?
I am.
How many times do you think about the Roman Empire?
I would say every other day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why would that be?
Wait
a minute. First of all, is that just a joke here? I mean, this is a TikTok thing. Are you just goofing around?
No.
Okay, tell me why.
2 reasons. Streets and Marc Aurel.
Well, what does it have to do with streets, and why is Marc Aurel so important?
I think you call him Marcus Aurelius, right?
Yes.
Okay. Streets. Do you know that they found out why Roman streets are still intact after 2,000 years, whereas our streets break down after a few years? Our modern streets.
No, I can't imagine. Why?
Because they kind of used a self-healing cement. Part of it is limestone, and that limestone is finely ground. And if water comes in, it acts like a glue, and it fills the cracks again and again.
So you think about, you compare our modern society with the ancient society, and you ask why we better? Why are we not better?
No, I'm asking, why did we decline concerning streets? I mean, we know better.
Okay, how about Marcus Aurelius?
Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor. He actually wanted to be a philosopher. He wasn't allowed to do so. He had to become the emperor. And so he combined both. And he was a great Stoic philosopher. And he has great advice for everyone. But sometimes when I'm really, a little bit too annoyed to take this advice to heart, I think, well, you were an emperor, okay? If you say something like, be modest. Don't worry. Keep your cool. I mean, you had no need to worry, right? But he still inspires me.
So why do you think of the Roman Empire often?
My father brought up this discussion around the dinner table. He would ask the question, if the United States as an empire would fall, what would destroy it? During these discussions, we kept going back to the Roman Empire, which is the example of a great empire, astounding, incredible thing that happened in world history, and what made it fall. And my father's theory was that it was decadence. It was inner decadence. And it was the hippie time, of course. He was talking about the destabilization of American values, the values that made America into an empire. And they are dissolving.
I would say the same thing about the Nazis and the Holocaust and World War II. I think often about the Nazis, and it's because of destabilization. The way the Nazis came to power was that they intensified the natural destabilization of the young democracy they were living in. They were constantly going on the TikTok of their day, which I suppose was, standing on the street corner, handing out pamphlets and giving speeches in beer halls, that democracy doesn't work, and that democracy has failed, and the system is broken, and that capitalism only leads to sorrow, and that this isn't working, and that we need a new system. And they took the lack of faith that the Germans had in democracy, which they were only practicing for 10 years, and they amplified it and they encouraged it until finally most Germans, I think probably you could say about 60% of Germans, no longer believed in democracy. And when the elections rolled around in 1932, the Nazis were the most popular party, and of the other parties, several of them were also against democracy. If you count all the parties in the elections of 1932 in Germany together that were against democracy, you probably come up to around 60%. And that's destabilization. So whenever I see some guy on TikTok saying, "Oh, we're living in the worst of worlds, capitalism isn't working, the system is broken," I think of the Nazis in 1932.
I see today these values dissolving even more, and the decadence that my father saw in the 70s is even stronger today. Now I tend to kind of agree with him, frankly. I'm not surprised that a lot of men think about the Roman Empire. It tells us who we are and warns us of what we may be.